Hey guys, in today's coaching video we're going to be going over the hip hinge. It's not only important for deadlifts, squats, RDLs, anything that you're kind of bending over with, but it also teaches you proper core positioning for any time that you're doing pretty much anything else as well. So we're going to start with that. One of the aids that you can use to help with this is just a basic PVC pipe. You can grab a light bar if your gym has one of those. Anything that's pretty much straight. You want to start out by activating the core, feet shoulder width apart. You're going to turn your core on. You're going to tuck the chin, not all the way back and not down, just tuck the chin back. And that's going to put your core in a nice neutral position. Your spine's going to be nice and neutral. Standing from the side, you can see that I'm just left, right, shoulders, hips, ears are all on a line. This comes in handy for teaching you if you are straight. So bar's going to be touching on my butt, hand is in my low back, other hand is in my neck, and then everything is touching. So I'm touching the bar on my butt, I'm touching the bar on my upper back, and I'm touching the bar with my head. Feet are shoulder width apart, and from there we got to bend without letting the head or the butt or the upper back release. So if we go down and the head starts to come off, you can feel that on the bar. Or if we're rounding our back, you can see how the bar comes off the butt. So maintaining our nice neutral spine all the way up and down gives us a perfect spine alignment as we're hinging our hips backwards. Okay, and as you can see, this movement, the hip hinge, pushes those hips backwards. Knees pretty much stay vertical. And that's the key difference between a hip hinge and a squat. See, knees go forward in a squat, hips kind of go straight down. Hip hinge for any kind of deadlift or RDL or a bent over hold position for a row, the hips are going to go back, knees stay pretty much vertical, they're soft, and they don't lock out. Okay? If you're going to lock out the knees, that's a more advanced move, like a straight leg deadlift, things like that. We'll get to that on down the line. Okay, so we turn the core on, up nice and tall, shoulders are back, shoulder blades not cranked back, but back and down into our body, so that activates the lats. Head's nice and back from that position. Feet are shoulder width apart. We're going to find the floor with our toes. We're not going to grab the floor, but I want you to find the floor with all of your toes, and then I want you to pretend like you're trying to spread the floor apart with your feet, okay? Try and pull the rubber apart. You'll feel that turn on everything in the lower body, okay? So, then we're gonna take one foot, and we're gonna put our heel right where our toe is. Shoulder width apart again, find the floor, pull the floor apart, and then we're gonna feel everything turn on in our spine, and we're gonna push our butt back and try and touch the wall, okay? So that looks like, from this position, everything's turned on, we found the floor, we're pulling it apart, core's up nice and tight, chin's tucked, and we're gonna push our butt back. Okay, we're not dropping down like we would in a squat, we're pushing our butt back. All the movement and the bend, the hinging, is right here in the hip, okay? And we do that just a little ways away from the wall, and if we can touch, we come back up, squeeze the glutes a little bit, but don't arch, okay? If we can touch, we inch away a little bit, we push ourselves back, try and touching the wall there. Knees are still soft and vertical. Coming up, everything stays tucked while we do that. So look from the side, there. I'm feeling a little stretch in my hamstrings. We go up, squeeze the glutes at the top without overarching the low back and put pressure in it like that. We just want to finish with full hip hinge, which is squeezing the glutes without arching the back into it, okay? And that's your basic hip hinge right there. Down to here, that's where I feel a hamstring stretch. My hamstrings are a little bit tight. Some people might be able to go all the way down and get their chest closer to the knees. That's about it for me until I get a little bit more warmed up. Everyone's a little bit different. Okay, so now that we got the hip hinge down, we're going to apply that to a barbell deadlift. There are a couple of different stances for deadlift, which I'll go over in the deadlift video, but just for getting the basics down, okay, your shins are going to be right up against the bar. Your shins stay vertical in a deadlift, okay? You're going to come down and knees are way over the bar. You're turning it into too much of a squat. You need to work on that hip hinge and getting back into it. So, sumo deadlift, traditional deadlift, regular grip, alternating grip, whatever you like to do. The important part is that we get into position and we can keep that neutral spine that we talked about with the bar. So if we turn this to the side, you can see if I go down in a traditional stance, this is going to be around a position. This is going to be a position that you're not going to want to deadlift from. You're putting a ton of pressure on the spine. The way to take that pressure off the spine and put it into the hips is to properly hip hinge. So to do that, we're going to do just what we did in the demonstration. We're going to find the floor with all of our toes. We're going to pull that floor apart, turn on everything here. We're going to turn on the core, shoulder blades are down and back. This time, since we're going into a barbell lift, I want you to pretend like somebody's going to punch you in the gut. That kind of, when you turn everything on, that's what I want you to do before you go down. Take a deep breath. In, and then as we get down here, you can see everything aligns. We're nice and straight, hips are back, and then all we do is we push those hips forward, keeping everything turned on, and stand up with it. And then we push those hips back. We don't want to round on our way down and lose that. We want to maintain that core and that neutral spine all the way up and down to protect that spine and put the emphasis on the glutes and hamstrings for this lift. Yes, the back is turned on, but the back is just maintaining proper posture, okay? If your arms get into this position, that's back. So you want those shoulder blades back, neutral spine, chin tucked, everything down. So if you can't get into that position, there's probably a couple things going on, but there's a couple of quick and easy fixes for it. Traditional narrow stance, I have a hard time getting in there. My hips just don't like it. So I'm more of a sumo style deadlifter. I'm going to be out wide with my toes. I can keep my spine neutral as I'm going down in there. If sumo doesn't feel right to you either, there's one thing, is you can deadlift from the blocks, okay? Just find your cardio steps in your gym, steal a couple of them, and then you can go from there. And then that raises that bar up just enough that you can get down, you can keep that neutral spine all the way from the bottom and protect yourself while you're doing lifts like this. Now, some people would say this is cheating, but you and I, we're just normal people. Why do we need a deadlift from the floor? We're not going to a lifting competition, we're not power lifters. Who cares, right? We just want a compound exercise that hits a ton of muscle groups and teaches us some proper technique as we're doing it, challenging pretty much the entire body and making us overall stronger. So you don't have to do it from the floor, okay? If someone looks at you and snickers at you in the gym, that's because they don't know any better and you're smarter than they are because you're doing it the safe way and you're still getting all the benefits, okay? So, rant over on that little part. But, so, it just raises the bar up a little bit. Still the same thing, find the floor with your toes. Pull the floor apart, push those hips back, core on, chin tucked, down, deep grip into that bar, okay? Get it in there, wrap it up tight, turn those lats on, and the bar's almost gonna wanna come up by itself. Push those hips forward, and squeezing the glutes at the top. Control on the way down, let it back down. Okay, so now we're gonna cover, we went over barbell, we're gonna cover Dumbbell Rdl. It's just a short term for Romainian deadlift, which you don't really go all the way to the floor, but it's the same hip hinge, okay? You just have dumbbells. You can do these with a barbell too. I'm just going to demonstrate dumbbells because there's a couple things I wanted to cover. But it's the same move. We're finding the floor with our toes. We're pulling the floor apart. We're pushing or turning the core on, shoulders down and back, chin is tucked. And then we go down and we find that hamstring stretch and we come back up. A couple things that I see wrong with RDLs is people for some reason think they absolutely have to get the dumbbells to the floor. So this is where I pretty much max out, feeling my hammies. But a lot of people will release the arms and then they release the upper back, trying to get those dumbbells all the way to the floor. Doesn't really matter, does it? You good. Keep that posture, keep that neutral spine. Your hamstrings are going to tell you where the stopping point is. Mine's right there right now. Come back up, squeeze those hammies. That's a perfect RDL. If you got great hams and great hips, you're going to be able to go lower. But until that point, just go until you feel a good stretch in the hamstrings. Come back up, squeeze the glutes to finish it off. Okay. You don't need to release those shoulders. You're going to do your posture a favor by keeping those shoulder blades down and back and locked in. And you don't need to really step her back. It doesn't matter how low the dumbbells go to the floor. The main thing is the hip hinge.